All right, get this. The new coach in Dallas, first meeting, makes everyone stand up and, like, move seats.
Yeah, I saw that. Brian Schottenheimer definitely making an entrance.
Exactly. So we're diving into those first moves at the Cowboys and also how both Dallas and the Ravens are handling things post-draft.
Right, looking at what these early signs might tell us about their plans for the season. You pulled some interesting takes from NFL Live, right?
Yeah, some great stuff. We'll unpack what Schottenheimer himself said, plus insights from Swagu, Dan Graziano, and Mina Kimes.
Okay, so we're focusing on the Cowboys under Schottenheimer, the changes there, and then the Ravens rookie camp, their draft, how they're building the team.
Got it. And our mission here is basically to pull out the key takeaways, team dynamics, any culture shifts, big strategic calls these two teams are making. They both want to make playoff runs, obviously.
For sure. Two big franchises, always under the microscope.
Okay, let's kick things off in Dallas then. Schottenheimer taking the reins. You mentioned those sources highlighted some immediate changes. What jumped out first?
Well, the first thing, kind of symbolic maybe, was moving Dak Prescott's locker.
Oh, yeah. Where to?
Right next to Micah Parsons.
Right.
Putting the offensive leader right beside the defensive leader.
Interesting. Like trying to build that connection right away.
Seems like it. Deliberate,
Yeah.
Fostering maybe a unified leadership front.
Yeah.
Breaking down any offense-defense silos.
Makes sense. Okay, and then that story about the first meeting, making everyone get up and move after they'd already sat down.
Yeah, that one's interesting too. His explanation was basically, it's a new year, do something different.
Method to the madness, I think he said.
Right, exactly. And he apparently said he plans to do it again in future years too.
Wow, okay, so not just a one-off statement. What do you read into that? Is it just shaking things up or something deeper?
Could be a bit of both, couldn't it? Breaking routines, maybe forcing guys who don't normally interact to sit together, or just signaling, hey, things are different now. Don't get comfortable.
Swagu Marcus Spears had a really good point about this, thinking about Dallas specifically.
Oh, yeah. What was his take?
He talked about how crucial it is there to build a culture that insulates the locker room, from all the outside noise.
The Jerry Jones factor, the media circus. Yeah, that's unique to Dallas, isn't it?
Totally. He was saying the staff and players almost need to create, like, a fortress.
That makes a ton of sense. That external pressure can be immense. Swagu compared it to how Bill Parcells used to set up his locker rooms, didn't he?
He did, strategically placing guys like veterans together, leaders or veterans, with young guys who needed to learn the ropes.
Right. It's about intentionally shaping those internal dynamics. It's
Yeah.
not just random seeding.
Another point Swagu made, which seems important here, is that Schottenheimer isn't some total outsider, right? He was already there.
Yeah, he was the OC. So that potentially helps with buy-in. The players already know him.
Apparently, the reports are that players genuinely like him and are, ready to work with him.
That's a huge advantage. Less skepticism than you might get with a brand new face coming in. And it sounds like Schottenheimer's pretty confident talking about doing this in 2026, 2027.
Yeah, projecting some long-term stability there. Okay, let's pivot a bit. The Cowboys draft. Mina Kimes was, how'd she put it, torn.
Yeah, kind of mixed feelings. What is she like?
She liked getting Tyler Booker, the guard, obvious need, and Dallas has a good track record drafting O-linemen.
Okay, that makes sense.
And Donovan Osaraku, the pass rusher. Another clear need opposite Parsons.
Definitely needed help there.
And she mentioned Siobhan Rabel Jr., the quarterback who was hurt but had high potential, and noted they needed cornerback help too, which he could eventually provide.
So some solid picks addressing needs. But what was the torn part about? What was missing?
Yeah, the big one. The glaring omission for Mina was no wide receiver drafted at all.
Wow. Really? That felt like a huge need going in, didn't it? Maybe second only to running back.
Absolutely. Especially to take pressure off CeeDee Lamb, Mina even floated Amari Cooper maybe coming back as a free agent.
Interesting possibility. Because, yeah, they need more firepower. That stat about their points per game last year.
Lowest since 2015. Yeah, that really says something.
Oof. And Swago kind of confirmed the receiver focus, right? Said they were looking at Ted McMillan at pick 12.
Yeah, apparently he was in consideration, but then Carolina traded up and snagged him just before Dallas could.
Oh, the joys of the draft board. So plan B is free agency. We're hoping someone already there steps up.
Seems like it. Or finding that young diamond in the rough, as Swagu put it.
They did trade for that young receiver from Carolina last year, didn't they? Though he hasn't exactly lit it up yet.
Right. Name wasn't in the source, but yeah. Relying on him feels like, well, a bit of a gamble.
A pretty big gamble, given the clear need and the offensive struggles last season. Okay, so that's Dallas. Lots of focus on culture, but still big questions on
Oh,
offense.
definitely. All right, let's shift gears. Baltimore Ravens, rookie minicamp underway. John Harbaugh sounds pretty excited about their first rounder, Malachi Starks.
Oh yeah, Harbaugh was effusive. High praise for the safety out of Georgia. He even said he hopes Starks learns to be an all-pro.
High expectations from day one. And wasn't there something about him breaking the huddle?
Yeah, apparently Starks did that on his first day. Harbaugh pointed to that as a sign of maturity, leadership potential. Pretty impressive for a rookie.
Mina Kimes also weighed in on Starks, saying he brings a lot of opportunity to that secondary. What's the thinking there? How does he fit?
Well, it's about versatility, really. Remember last year, the Ravens had success moving Kyle Hamilton to free safety.
Right, that worked out pretty well for them mid-season.
It did.
Yeah.
But maybe it limited how they could use Hamilton sometimes, as more of a weapon,
Right.
blitzing or playing nickel.
Yeah. Okay, so Starks gives them another high-level safety.
Exactly. A third guy they trust back there, which means they can free up Hamilton, move him around, use him more aggressively depending on the matchup. It makes that safety group really dynamic.
That makes sense. Okay, offensively for the Ravens, the receiver room is always a topic. Swagu thinks they're actually okay there now.
Yeah, his take was they have enough help. He pointed to Zay Flowers coming back from injury. That's big.
Oh, sure.
Plus Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews at tight end. Swagu really emphasized those two, saying they're basically key parts of the receiving core, force defenses to play differently.
Can't argue with Andrews' impact. And likely really stepped up last year.
Definitely. Oh, and he mentioned DeAndre Hopkins being there too, though he did kind of note Hopkins wasn't super productive for the Chiefs previously. Wait, was it Chiefs or tight ends? Let me check. Tight ends. Right, Hopkins from the Titans.
Okay, got it. And then there's the elephant or maybe the tractor in the backfield, Derrick Henry.
Huh, right. Swagu's point there wasn't just about Henry's rushing yards.
It was about the ripple effect, was it?
Exactly. Defenses have to load the box to respect Henry, and what does that do?
Creates one-on-one matchups for the receivers outside.
Bingo. Opens up the passing game just by his presence.
Swagu also sounded pretty positive about Rashad Bateman, didn't he? Despite some past debates, maybe with Mina.
Yeah, he seemed bullish on Bateman, said he made some big plays down the stretch last season during the playoffs, maybe turning a corner.
So overall, Baltimore feels like they solidified the defense, which is their bread and butter, and added pieces on offense.
Pretty much. They prioritized defense in the draft, sticking to their identity while adding Henry and hoping the existing receivers plus Flowers return are enough.
Okay, so we've walked through the early Dallas moves, the draft strategies for both teams. If you zoom out, what's the big picture here? What are the main themes or questions popping up from all this?
Well, it's kind of fascinating seeing the contrast, isn't it? Dallas is focused inward, it seems. Culture shift, internal dynamics with Schottenheimer, who's known there. But still, big offensive questions remain, especially at receiver.
Right. Well, Baltimore.
Baltimore feels more like reinforcing strengths, doubling down on their defensive identity with guys like Starks, adding a known offensive quantity like Henry, and banking on versatility and existing pieces stepping up.
So as you're processing all this, it's worth thinking about those different approaches, right? What do these choices really signal about team priorities? How are they trying to build that playoff roster?
Yeah, and it leads to that question, which strategy works better? The internal culture focus or reinforcing strengths and adding specific pieces? Hard to say yet.
Definitely. And maybe one final thought to chew on. Looking ahead, how much will these specific things matter? Like, will Schottenheimer's culture moves actually change things in Dallas? And how much impact will the Ravens get from moving Hamilton around now that they have Starks?
Exactly. How do those internal dynamics in Dallas and the strategic flexibility in Baltimore actually play out on the field against tough competition? That's what we'll be watching for as the season gets closer.